Among the many weapons that I see not a lot of people use, numerous the Telos Akbolto. And today I want to take a closer look at it to see if it's not worthy of receiving at least a little bit of attention. Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be diving deeper into this Mastery Rank 11 secondary weapon, the Telos Akbolto. As per usual, I'm going to be having a cheap build, something affordable that anybody can build, but of course we also have the quote-unquote endgame setup with a Riven. That said, please keep in mind that my builds and guides take a new player-friendly approach, simply because there's a lot of info here and I want anybody watching to understand how the weapon functions and how it should be built. So in case you're a veteran and you already know most of this stuff, you can either skip ahead or have a bit of patience. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Telos Akbolto. Let's begin by quickly taking a look at how the weapon handles without any mods equipped, and for that we're simply going to be taking a couple of free shots. The Telos Akbolto is a semi-weapon, and as you can see, you fire bolts, and if you take a gander at the wall, you should see they're in the form of arrows and all whatnot. Now the weapon is semi, and that's a bit of a bother, but alternatively you can bind the fire to your scroll wheel, or maybe use a macro to optimize your fire rate. Don't worry about it guys, it's fine, link in the description, or better said the cards right now if you want to see if macros are okay. And this is the maximum rate of fire of the Akbolto. Now when it comes to accuracy, well, take a gander. It's not exactly fantastic, sadly, and that's pretty much it for the weapon outside of its neat trick. It's a syndicate weapon, and syndicate weapons have very interesting procs. Once you gain about 2000 affinity, there we go, lower right hand side corner, gentlemen, you will see the symbol of the Arbiters of Hexis. So once again, once you get to about 2000 affinity, you're going to be releasing a 25-meter radius explosion with a guaranteed gas proc, and that is pretty huge. You're also going to be gaining 25% of your maximum health back, and all of your parkour maneuvers will be boosted by, I think, 25% for something like 30 seconds. Once again, that is the trick to the Telos Akbolto. Now, let's jump into stats to see precisely what we're dealing with. Mod capacity is going to be 60 out of 60, and if yours has only 30 out of 30, jump into actions and install the Arcane catalyst. Now when you get this one, you can either get it from the Arbiters of Hexis for 100,000 standing, or if you can't, from the trade chat, this one sells for about 20-30 plat, something like that. Consult Warframe market. Next, my weapon has been formatted a total of 5 times, but I do this only for testing and for Rivens and all whatnot. For the weapon build, I'm recommending you guys, you can get away with free format maximum. Simply add free V symbols or Madurai. If you take a look at the accuracy is 26.7. Now 26.7 is decent, but unfortunately if I go with Magnum Force, you'll see that the accuracy drops to 10.8, and that's still not that bad if you don't take into account multi-shot. But as soon as you add multi-shot to the weapon, you will see that the resulting bolts from the multi-shot go completely off the crosshairs, and for that reason I'm not recommending Magnum Force for anything but close range shots. Critical chance is a tad low, only 13%, but the multi is quite nice at 2.0, which means you're gonna get some decent synergies with Harrow, for example, or perhaps the kitty buff and all whatnot. Fire rate of 10 with a magazine of 30. Now that is a pretty solid fire rate, 10 with a magazine of 30, but the problem is, once again, it is semi, so you're gonna have to mash the crap out of your button. Noise alarming, the reload for a magazine of 30 is rather on the long side, 2.6 seconds for just 30 shots with a fire rate of 10. Not ideal. Riven disposition, only 2 out of 5 because the Akbolto Prime, which from my point of view is the superior weapon, is a whole lot more popular. It's still my favorite secondary weapon in the game, that is the Akbolto Prime. Status chance sky high at 29%, and we got impact and puncture, a large amount of puncture and a small amount of impact. Now, impact knocks enemies back on a status proc, or better said, they kind of stagger them. They're not going to hit the ground, they just do this whole drunken effect and all whatnot. The puncture on a status proc will be reducing the damage your enemies deal to you, and also puncture is a pretty good physical type because it deals bonus damage versus heavily armored targets such as the Grenier Alloy or Ferrite. It doesn't matter, you do get a bonus from puncture. I have a build already lined up for you guys. This is a standard build and we're just going to discuss it a tad. Damage with Hornet Strike, multi-shot with Barrel Diffusion, and Lethal Torrent. Now, if you want to forgo Lethal Torrent, I'm not going to blame you, because again, it's fire rate with multi-shot. Well, the multi-shot is awesome to have. Unfortunately, the fire rate doesn't really help us all that much on a semi-weapon. And as you saw, by default, at quote-unquote full fire rate, it wasn't really accurate, so there's that. Critical chance and critical damage. Is it worth for a base crit chance of only 13%? I gotta be honest with you guys, if you choose to forgo critical chance and critical damage, I wouldn't blame you, because again, the base is pretty low. But in Warframe, the problem with some weapons, let's say most weapons, is that if you pile on the same multiplier time and again, the more you pile on, the less you get out of it. Now, some weapons are exception from this rule. For example, the Tigris Prime. But in the case of the Telos Akbolto, going full into status chance, from my point of view, would still be a mistake, and you're still not getting as good results as with going with full hybrid. Now let's talk about elemental damage. As you can see, I built corrosive, but the elemental combo that you build on your weapon will depend on the circumstances. For example, maybe you're heading down to Orvalis, Fortuna and all whatnot. In that case, take my word for it, build gas or toxin versus corpus. It will do wonders. In my case, I'm gonna be shooting corrupted heavy gunners, and I know that corrupted heavy gunners are equipped with ferrite armor. Ferrite armor takes 75% more damage from corrosive. Now you can see that I use the two 60/60 mods and I use the 90 mod as well. Isn't that overkill? Shouldn't use I don't know, something like maybe some seeker with some punch through, which would be fantastic, especially for this weapon, or perhaps more damage with something like Auger Pact if Magnum Force isn't really worth it. Well, no, not really, and I'll explain exactly why that is. Even though if I take Convulsion off, for example, and I go for something like, I don't know, let's say more damage, Auger Pact has more crit chance with hydraulic crosshairs, is hardly worth it on this weapon. You will see that my value for corrosive is 645, and I got a shot status chance of 94.2%, which is pretty high. Now, currently, how many bolts am I firing anyway? I got the default one plus a guaranteed second bolt and an 80% chance at a third bolt because of all the multi-shot on the weapon. The problem is that impact, puncture, and slash, the physical types in Warframe, have a 4 times greater chance at proccing over elemental types. So basically what I'm gonna be doing is proccing a whole lot of puncture and not corrosive. And this is the primary reason I added one additional 90 mod, to increase the chance that my corrosive gets a shot at proccing over puncture. And this is the first build we're gonna be testing. Now, from that build, you do have a slight issue, Jolt. Jolt is only obtainable from Battle Kit Tier the Void Trader, and if you don't have Jolt, simply just use 2 of the 90 mods and 1 of the 60/60 mods. Corrupted Heavy Gunner level 120. Now let's see what the weapon is capable of. I'm gonna go full blast from the get-go, and as you can see, within a clip, I am capable of taking out a level 120 Corrupted Heavy Gunner rather easily, and I'm going full blast with maximum fire rate. Now some of you guys may still be gun shy about using macros. It really depends on what kind of macros you want to use. But Lazar, that guy got banned because he was using macros. No, friend, he didn't get banned because he was using macros, he got banned for bug exploit. Link in the cards right now. I had a chat with a customer support operative from DE just to make sure it's okay to use macros such as this. Once again, within reason, you can use macros, and smashing one button really fast is no measure of skill, and what we're doing in Warframe is PvE anyway. Getting back to the weapon at hand, as you can see, I'm getting plenty of corrosive procs and a decent amount of crit chance. Now the results on a single target will kind of vary wildly because of that wonky critical chance, but overall this is a pretty decent performance. You see my issue though? I'm running around after ammo because I'm out of it. Only 17 shots left. Almost killed them. That's because of I got lucky with the corrosive procs. I got plenty of them. The weapon can pack a punch, definitely, but the problem is there are so many weapons in Warframe that can pack a bigger punch. Is it worth using? Definitely, especially if you take into account the proc, which I can't really showcase in the Simulacrum. We're talking about the truth proc from the Arbiters of Hexis. In the Simulacrum, there's no affinity gain, so therefore I can't exactly showcase it. Now, of course, you can use Prime mods and you can use Rivens as well. We only have a Riven disposition of 2, but from my point of view, it's still worth it. Now this is a souped up setup, and we're using Prime Pistol Gambit and Prime Target Cracker. As for the Riven, this is the Akbolto Visicron. I use it on my Akbolto Prime. We got critical chance damage and minus zoom. Keep in mind that the two weapons do share Rivens. The damage is ideal, the critical chance on this weapon is not exactly ideal, and even with Prime Pistol Gambit and the Riven, I'm only looking at about 55% crit chance per shot. Now let's test the weapon out like this and see how it performs. Same targets as before, level 120 Corrupted Heavy Gunners. How better? How much better will it be with Prime mods? Oh yeah, definitely. The critical chance does help out because again, you do have that base critical multiplier of 2.0, which is more than decent from my point of view. If you were to go into full status chance, you wouldn't be getting results as good as this. But let's talk about Rivens because I know you guys love Rivens, and you know what? I love them too. What's not to love? The ideal Riven for a weapon such as this, for the Telos Akbolto, would be damage, multi-shot, and maybe an element and a harmless negative as well, something like minus zoom. So if you get something like damage multi-shot, and let's say toxin, because you can use toxin in a gas build, you can use it in a corrosive build, you can even use it in a viral build. Now viral build on this weapon is hardly worth it, because think about it, you're never gonna be able to couple it with something like slash. Thank the Lord we do not have a hunter munitions version for secondary weapons. Now we can take it one step further than that and see how much damage we can pork out of the weapon using Warframe buffs. And you can use Harrow, but I prefer to use Lady Mirage Prime because I want to. Now we're gonna be using Arcanes as well. For your damage Arcane, you can use something like Arcane Precision. Arcane Precision will give you 120% damage to pistols for 8 seconds. This is an on headshot chance. And you can also use something like Awakening. Now Arcane Awakening is a more cheaper version to get some damage for your secondary weapons. We're looking at about 100%, but it's a 40% chance on reload. Now this Arcane is super cheap. I think the R3 goes for about 20 to 30 plat currently on the trade chat. It's not 100% worth it on a weapon such as this. The ideal combination from my point of view would be Arcane Precision with Arcane Avenger. Avenger will grant you a 30% critical chance boost bonus additive after for 8 seconds plus the usual 1 Arcane revive. Now you farm both of these puppies from the third Eidolon down on Cetus. If you don't want to farm them, you're gonna have to buy them from the trade chat, but they're not exactly inexpensive. Now we're going to be spawning these guys one more time and unpause the targets. We're going to be using Mirage's free ability for a massive damage increase as well as her lovely clones. You're going to see that, yeah, the weapon now is going to be able to absolutely murder the targets, but please keep in mind that I am using some rather extreme Warframe buffs. You can use the Akbolto Prime if you so desire. If this is your weapon of choice, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It's true, I don't see a whole lot of players using it because the honest truth is that it's not a very powerful secondary weapon, not if I compare it to all the other options currently available to you. But if you like this style of weapon, take a look at the Akbolto Prime, which is basically kind of the same thing, but that one is heavily invested into critical chance, which from my point of view, subjectively speaking, is a whole lot more fun. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you got any feedback for me, then by all means, drop it in the comment section down below. Also in the comment section down below if you want to suggest a particular weapon review. Now I can't exactly promise you guys that it will be done by next time because these things take a bit of time to make, but I will be reading through each and every comment. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. Until next time, my friends. Bye bye.